Hello, how are you? Welcome to another community call of Kleros. This is Wednesday, 28th of February. And well, this week we have lots of people around the world in different places. So for example, in the same day we are having so preparations for an event of Kleros in Mendoza, so it's Argentina, that is being done at Mendoza, which is one of the provinces of Argentina. It's a very beautiful place. If you someday get to go, I strongly recommend that. So we have part of the team of the business development team, including Marcos, Juan, and Jean also there. We have other part of the team in Denver for it. Denver. So Jan is there. Jan is now doing. Well, he's a PhD researcher with Kleros, and he's now doing a research stay at Stanford, more specifically at the Stanford Codex Center for Legal Informatics, and he's doing his research there, surrounded by some of the great luminaries of legal innovation. And he's well, there, and so since he was not very far from Denver, not very far by world terms, he went to Denver to represent Kleros. So we have that also, and then we have in Lisbon, in Portugal, we have another little Kleros event at the block. Where we have a bunch of people. When they join the Kleros team, they spend 1 month in Lisbon, like for an onboarding session there, and we have a bunch. So I mentioned we have been recruiting a bunch of new developers, some of them, front end, full stack, and all that, and also people who are doing policy writing for the Kleros courts. So, and we have a bunch, I think we have like 5 or 6 people currently at Lisbon doing the onboarding. So they organized a little event there to present a bunch of the things we are doing at Kleros. One of the talks is how Kleros can be used in the context of fintech dispute resolution, in particular in connection to the work we are doing with Lemon, the crypto exchange that is using Kleros to solve the disputes. So that's one of the talks. I think another talk is about prediction markets. So Kleros, as you know, can be used for dispute resolution in prediction markets. Sometimes you need you have a dispute regarding how a market should clear, and well, Kleros can be used for that. Some old community members might remember some of the most famous cases at Kleros were about prediction markets. One of them was about how many COVID-related deaths would happen between, I don't remember which dates of 2021 in the US, and so some people thought more than 1,000, other people thought that was less than 1,000. And the problem was that some sources said that it was more than 1,000 and others said it was less than 1,000. So, and that ended up in a dispute in Kleros. Another famous case is about Trump and Biden. Do you remember? Of course, you remember the dispute that happened with the election and Trump not recognizing the result, and the prediction market had to clear anyway. So there was a dispute about who actually won the election, and Kleros also saw that. So one of the talks happening in Lisbon now is about that. So that's also one of the presentations. And Jean, what was the other talk in Lisbon? Do you remember? There were 3 talks. So prediction markets,
I think
fintech.
Yeah, I think one is about the Kleros for DAOs and Constitution.
Oh, by Alex, right? Alex.
Yes, Alex and Facundo. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So another one is use cases of Kleros in the context of dispute resolution in DAOs. So let's say some proposal allegedly violates some DAO constitution. So there might be, the community might, even if the proposal won the majority, there could be arguments to overrule that vote based on considerations about this proposal maybe being a governance attack, or maybe being contrary to the beliefs or the values of DAO. So Kleros can be used in a sort of Supreme Court way to resolve those claims. So this is a product that we have developed a while ago, which is quite interesting, and it's already securing DAOs like 1 inch, for example. So we have that people going, speaking there at Lisbon now, and then we also have, well, actually myself, I'm going to be speaking in 50 minutes in the community of SID Latam, which is a very important community from Latin America, very active in all of the governance space for DAOs, and well, they invited me to make a presentation about Kleros 2.0 and well, a bunch of the things that this new version will include. Well, I'm going to give an overview about that in a while. So yeah, excited about that. So lots of different things going on, talks about Kleros in different parts of the world. Let me give some time now to William to give us some research update.
Yeah, I've been considering the same kinds of research that I've been, talked about before in previous community calls. Had some good talks with the developers about sort of how to structure dispute kits for V2 that have non-binary disputes. So recall V2 is modular, and like the sort of like at launch date we expect feature parity with the current version. So like the first dispute kit launched will just be like plurality voting. But this sort of like, as you get into like, okay, what, like as we develop this sort of things that are in the yellow paper, how do you format that in the dispute kit? And there's some interesting questions we've had about how you would like encode the types of votes people have in a way that will catch basically the biggest swath of voting systems that we could possibly want to develop in the future, particularly the ones in the yellow paper that are sort of high priority, but maybe later on some other things that like are a little slightly different, and like, you want to fit into a common structure that's general to accommodate all that. And generally this is, I've been thinking about like, how do you take advantage of this modularity to like, like what kinds of dispute kits are appropriate for like different types of niche like use cases so before you eventually feed into something that's sort of general and robust for the general court.
Thank you, William. Have you practiced your Spanish for later today?
Yeah, not a whole lot, but I'll do my best.
I mean, because I asked him to join, in my talk I'm going to give later. So in case someone has like a specific question about Kleros 2.0, so I have William as a backup. Yeah. So just to give a bit more of context of Kleros 2.0. So the current version of Kleros was launched in 2019 with but with what was available back then, tooling that was available back then to build stuff, the research we had conducted until that moment. Of course, back then there was no identity system, basically no way to prevent, civil attack through some proof of personhood protocol. So it was a good version of Kleros, built with the restrictions and the constraints that existed when we built that. So since that moment, there were like lots of different things that happened in the ecosystem. For example, one of those is the development of proof of personhood protocols. One of those is something we launched called Proof of Humanity. And what this does, it gives a unique address to each user and prevents one person having more than one address. So this way is important because for a lot of use cases, customers or partners, they want to have a course that are based on one person, one vote. And well, that was not possible before proof of personhood, but now you can just, so since you know that each of the accounts only has one person in it, then, well, you can, you know that there's going to be only one vote done by account. And so this unlocks a number of use cases that well, were not possible before. In particular, in lots of different traditional arbitration settings, for example, where some Kleros, as you know, is a Web3 application, but also interacts in a number of ways with traditional Web 2 or Web 2.5, or sometimes even governments. For example, as you know, Kleros was ruled as a valid method for resolving disputes in the context of Mexico. And there was a new law of alternative dispute resolution that was passed in Mexico 2 months ago. And this law makes, it don't say Kleros because we couldn't put the brand in the law, but they say decentralized justice as a valid method for dispute resolution, alongside other technologies like automatization and stuff. So, and when we speak to these companies or governments that want to use Kleros for resolving small claims, they one of the things that typically happens is that they want one person, one vote. So because it's what the preferences are about how they want disputes to be solved. Another thing that happened since, well, the first version of Kleros was new concept that was introduced by Vitalik and Glenn Weil, which is called soulbound tokens. That is token that belongs to an address and that cannot be transferred. And this token could be used to create a course where you want to have people with skills vetted by SBTs. You know, if you want, let's say you want a court where only people who are knowledgeable in software development or in doing videos or in doing ChatGPT prompts or whatever. So you could do that. This is something you could not do in the previous version. And this also enables a number of new use cases, which are going to potentially bring more traction. And well, lots more of things. If you want to learn a bit more about this, you can just watch William's talk at the DevCon Bogota conference, where he presents how these systems work and how SVDs can be used, and also how collective intelligence can be leveraged if you want to have like a jury, a panel made of a combination of different profiles of different a diverse pool of profiles to make better rulings. So this is everything that William researches. So it's going to be introduced into Kleros 2.0 through a number of disputes kits, and besides all of these more sophisticated decision-making logics and voting logics, Kleros 2.0 is cheaper in the sense that it's a roll-up, and it's going to be being cheaper. It can be used for a number of different use cases that are mostly small claims. So the first version of Kleros was built on Ethereum mainnet. So making a transaction was extremely expensive sometimes. So it didn't work for a bunch of small value disputes. So I know, William, you want to add something about Kleros 2.0? Anything? Well, something I should mention also? You want to mention?
I think you pretty much covered everything. You know, the sort of, you know, the various advantages of being on a roll up and having these social technologies and like more flexibility about voting systems. So, you know, a lot to be excited about.
Definitely, and it's just a result of 5 years of research. So it's it's like a big thing. It's our main project regarding development. So I know you want to know when it's going to be launched, and as I always say, the development, you can see it on GitHub. How it's moving forward. It's not possible to give estimates in the sense that there is a smart contract auditing to be done, and you cannot really predict what you are going to find in the audit. So, I mean, unless you want us to launch something that is not secure enough, I mean, which of course we would never do, you cannot give a very precise estimate because it depends a lot on the audits that we will do. So we have that, the stuff that have been happening during the week. And then we are also updating a number of apps that we built for escrow, like transactions secured by Kleros. You can use the Alice and Bob kind of dispute through an escrow, like for a service provider, whatever. You can use that app, and if something goes wrong in the contract, it can be resolved by Kleros. A new version of Curate, a new version of Reality, but a bunch of different stuff that I don't want to go into now because I will have only 10 more minutes because I have to go to the testing of the audio and stuff for the talk I'm going to give later. So I'm not going to get into that now. You can just listen to previous recordings and see a bit more about, learn a bit more about those apps, or ask on the Telegram. So we have that. Then another interesting thing, I already mentioned the Mexico law. So, well, this created a lot of interest in Mexico about Kleros, and I'm going to go there in March, in the week of the March 11, to give a bunch of talks. The original idea was to go there because I was invited for giving a talk at the event of legal innovation by a very big company called Telefónica. It's an important company of telecommunications, and they have this event they are sponsoring, and they invited me alongside with other people who work on legal innovation in all of the Spanish-speaking world to present there. So I'm going to go there, and since I'm there, I'm going to also spend some time promoting bit about the new law of dispute resolution that was passed by the Congress, and I'm going to hold a number of meetings also with potential customers for the Kleros courts in the context of a Web 2 or 2.5 applications. Like this means, imagine like an app like Revolut using Kleros for solving disputes between the company and customers. Well, I'm not saying that Revolut is going to implement Kleros, just for you to know that this type of companies, like fintech companies, even if they are not focused on crypto specifically, they still can plug into Kleros for having Kleros solve disputes happening between the company and users in a fair and transparent way. And then they enforce the decision made by Kleros in their ecosystem or in their company. So it's like a traditional consumer arbitration process. So if you are in Mexico and want to meet me, 13th of March, it's a Telefónica event. There's going to be possibly one other event in Guadalajara on the 11th, and there's going to be also a Kleros specific event on the 14th, the very nice place called Espacio Nativo. This is going to be Kleros presentation and some discussion about the new law of dispute resolution. There's going to be, one of the, I'm going to be presenting Kleros, and then there's going to be another person who is one of the people that pushed for the adoption of this law in Mexico. So that's on the 14th at 6 p.m. Mexico time. So you can take a flight to Mexico if you want, also, if you're not there, or, well, if you're there, even better. And as I said, a bunch of talks and with different ecosystem actors to see how we can profit from this moment to push a bit more the use of decentralized justice into Mexico, consumer disputes in fintech, insurance, marketplaces, all of these different companies that could potentially that have lots of consumer claims and that they could potentially use Kleros. We already have this template that we developed working with this company called Lemon, and this can be basically duplicated into a number of other use cases. So this is another big thing happening in a few weeks. Then, speaking of Spanish and Mexico, we started doing by popular demand on Mondays at 6 p.m. So this should be at 9 p.m. UTC, weekly update calls like this one, but for Spanish-speaking community. We are probably going to do them on Twitter Spaces. We started doing some of the Kleros talks, English updates, also on Twitter Spaces to reach a different audience. Maybe it's worth to move them all there, or just most important, or once every month. We are figuring that out. So we have that also. I don't know, Jean, if you want to comment something, maybe you can tell us a bit about what you're up to in Mendoza, what's coming there.
Yes, I sent a couple of photos right now in the chat. This morning we set up dozens of computers with Web3 wallets in this judiciary branch of in the Mendoza province, where a Supreme Court judge received us and invited us to present Kleros, and we will do that. The workshop will be tomorrow, and we are pretty excited for it, because we want to see the reaction of these people that are directly involved with law, and see the experiencing Web3, and also learning about Kleros and thinking about making this mental shift to this new type of justice. So that's pretty excited, and this is just one of the events that we are participating here in Mendoza. The next day, on Friday, we will have another workshop with people that will be attending the conference, and also a presentation about the Lemon integration, particularly with people from Lemon. I think Facundo Pastorella, right? Yeah, Facundo Pastorella from the legal team. Yeah.
Also, are you going to see Mike?
Yes. I believe we will be together on a couple of events, so pretty hyped for that too.
Well, Mike is founder of Open Vino. It was, probably the first company ever to tokenize wine bottles. So, Mike is a software engineer from the US, and at some point he wanted to start working on the wine industry. He moved to Mendoza and bought a winery, and now he has this vineyard plus winery, and he tried to apply innovation to his production, and so it's very interesting, because he does organic wine, and organic wine has a problem that people don't trust the certification because it's rigged, or people, so there are a number of problems. So what Mike wants to do, and he applied for the Kleros incubator, and we accepted him, and so now he's part of the portfolio of Kleros, is how can you use a curated list of wines, of organic wine. So if you have the goal of this list is to have a list of properly curated wines, organic wines, that are produced based on the requirements that the organic wine certifications require. So you have to gather some documentation, and then you make a submission on the list, and then people can challenge you if they think that your submission doesn't comply with the rules to be considered as organic wine under the rules of the list. And so, he has been having lots of discussions with government authorities and certification authorities in order for them to start accepting this methodology of organic wine certification. This is part of the work we have been doing with him, and I'm happy that you get to meet him, because he's also a super visionary. I mean, he's been working on the wineries for a long time, and the intersection of wine and certification and blockchain. I mean, he basically invented that. So, so yeah.
One thing that
yeah.
I would like to mention about Mike is that I believe last year he presented at a conference, an agro conference here in Argentina with 5,000 people.
Conference.
Huge conference, and he's constantly touring the world and presenting his projects. So that's super nice.
I mean, if you want to learn about the project, I mean, he's presented it like many times at ETHCC, you know, the Ethereum Paris, and he's also presented it, I think, DevCon. I mean, everyone know about Mike Tango Bravo in the world of Ethereum. So yeah, for sure. So we have that. And I have 2 more minutes before the test. I don't know, anything else, Jean, you want to, it's worth mentioning for the week about communication? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we still have the curating incentives going on. It's to be renewed for March. So please submit to the lists, the contracts, the domain, and the tokens lists. We have seen some people that well, they give listing services and marketing services, and they are using the Kleros list to, well, give their clients some visibility, because of course you get listed on these lists, and it's automatically tagged on Etherscan and well, BScan and Polygon Scan, and also on the MetaMask Snap, the Kleros calls MetaMask Snap, and other services, decentralized exchanges. So that's pretty cool. And of course, if you have, if you can recommend this to projects that you know that they are not tagged yet, it's a good thing to do, and tag yourself and earn some PMK in the process.
Yeah. Okay. Just one. I see there's a question about escrow up on V2. It's under development. If we plan to secure all crypto bets on Twitter through Kleros escrow, I mean, we don't necessarily need to. I mean, you guys can use this as a permissionless. I mean, you can do that. I mean, it's an app that anyone can use. If you find that there is a good use case and you can have like a business model for that, and you can use it for whatever you want without asking for any permission from us. It's for the community, basically. The cooperative typically doesn't get involved in things regarding bets and stuff like that. So it doesn't work well. No, you mean the escrow? The escrow. I mean, so there is the escrow 1.0 and the escrow 2.0. So the escrow 1.0, it's not that it doesn't work. I mean, smart contracts are fine. It's working. The front end is clunky. It's old. That was the first app we built. So it's just clunky. Not that it doesn't work, but smart contracts should be secure enough. People have been using that for, I mean, even for quite high value transactions. I mean, you can use it. Just to be advised that some things might not work very nicely from the point of view of how front end interacts, but it's not that it doesn't work. Right. Okay. Well, yeah, sorry guys, I have to go now because I have the call, the presentation at the CLATAM. So, well, I guess I will see you in a few minutes, William. For the rest, guys, thank you for coming. And yeah, see you next week. Okay. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone. See you.